Hey everybody, should be live. Hope everybody's doing good today. And let me know if the sound is okay. Serendipity! Yeah. Be careful in all the scams. Scams everywhere, but it's good we have the scammers in the comments. Sorry, that was my test version. It's good we have the scammers in the comments so we can all be very aware of exactly what's going on. So right now, every time I've done a video lately, Bitcoin's gone up. So it's now 34,500. Let's see if it'll go to 34,700 during this video. Happy Sunday, everybody. As usual, let's dump in. Every week I do this and the questions get trickier and trickier. So this is IA Q&A. So I want to make sure that everything is perfect. Yes, we should be good to go. Let's jump in and talk about all the hard questions that came in this week. So first of all, math, money, freedom. You guys know the drill. And disclaimer, none of this is investment advice. So as usual, I'm always interested in surveying and understanding what people are thinking and finding out where their heads are at. And this was really, really interesting. So what I did was on Friday, I put together a Twitter poll and I asked people, okay, would you exchange how many Ethereum for Bitcoin? So this was the exact survey here that I put up, which I thought was fascinating. Now, I asked everybody, I said, would you exchange one Bitcoin for 15 ETH? And 38% of you said yes. Now, I asked this question with a whole agenda. We had nearly 2,000 responders, which was pretty cool. And the poll was just up for, I think, 12 hours or so. But the key idea here, I think, is I'm trying to instill with everybody the importance of understanding the difference in risk and expected return and expected future value. So today, basically you get about 16.66 ETH per Bitcoin. And the future value, based on my conservative analysis, I think Bitcoin in 2030 will be worth about 809,000 and ETH about 33,000. So that would be a 25-to-1 ratio in the future. But the key thing really here to understand is platforms can come and go. There may not be any Ethereum in the year 2030, but there's only one unique, pristine store of value, and that is Bitcoin. So that's what I want kind of people to think about. It's like Ethereum and Bitcoin are not the same. They're different. Cryptos are not the same. Every crypto is different. Now, to play devil's advocate, utility could also be the real driver of value in the future. You know, a la Metcalfe's law, network effect, the stuff I'm also very bullish on. But I thought that was very interesting to see exactly what people think. And basically, exchanging one Bitcoin for 15 ETH today is a losing proposition. And I believe it'll be a losing proposition. Even if the flippening happens, I still think Bitcoin is the safer bet for the majority of your portfolio. So that was the first part. I hope that made sense to everybody. And let's go. ETH will be right behind it, though. Exactly. ETH is my second biggest position. So very, very good point as well. So let's go a little bit further. Let's talk about the first question of the day. And this was super interesting. So with trillions of dollars being thrown at green technology, are you looking at any investment opportunities in this area? This is from Batman. Wow, the real Batman. Super interesting. So thank you, Batman, for your question. And I have thought a lot about this. In fact, last year in March, one of my investments, I bought a leap in a company called NextEra Energy. That's kind of like a green utility type company. And they went through a nice split and got a nice return, but nothing like the return I got in other things like Square and stuff. But when I look at the green stocks that are available, and you look at them all, so I call them the fluff players. You've got your Rena Solar, Canadian Solar, SunPower, Renewable Energy Corporations, Brookfield. First, like they're all solar companies. They're companies that, you know, you can plug in your little EV to and stuff like that, but they're not companies that are changing the world. And that is the top list. Those fluff are the top green investments. And you can go to all the big companies and they say, these are the ones you need to buy. It's like, no, Batman, when I look at a company, I look at Tesla. And the reason, and I know people probably hate me for being such a Tesla bull, but again, as I said the other day, Tesla is one of my biggest and one of my best investments. It is a green play. I own a Tesla, and I believe their energy play will be 10x what their car business is, and their car business is already huge. And they are by far the leader in battery technology, space, energy storage, solar, utility pack systems, autonomous vehicles, robo-taxis. Their AI is second to none, and on and on. They have auto bidder, robo-taxis. They can license out FSD in the future. They get EV credits. They have the supercharger network I spoke about the other day and how much that can add to value. I mean, it's just on and on. And if you look at some of the big numbers here, the car maker industry is about $1 trillion. Robotaxi is estimated to be $7 trillion. And Tesla, if there is such a thing as a robotaxi industry and it's worth $7 trillion, they're going to be the clear leader. The energy market's $10 trillion. So again, they're a spit in the bucket, and my target for Tesla is to be at least 3,000 by the year 2015. So thank you so much. And Alex, thank you so much for your contribution. We'll talk more at the end about where that money goes. So thank you. So that is my green plan. Now, second question. So this is a question from March S. I'd like to write calls against my MicroStrategy stock. An options contract is for 100 shares of stock, but as MicroStrategy is so expensive, I only have 10 shares in 2 accounts. So since I would never be able to deliver 100 shares, how do I implement the strategy if I were to do this? So sadly at this time, March, you need at least 100 shares in one account to be able to do something with options, either sell a call or whatever else. Now you can buy a leap without having 100 shares. You can just buy a leap straight out. But what I would recommend for you in this situation to get your feet wet in options, I think there's a couple of things. Before I go there, I see the future being able to run things like maybe micro options on tokenized equities in the future on some decentralized exchange. I think that's still going to come depending on the regulation. But if it's truly completely decentralized, peer-to-peer, anything should be possible between people. But for you, what I would do right now is put together a couple of things. Since you need 100 shares required for options, I calculated the margin requirement for MicroStrategy today, and you would need $26,500 cash in an account, and you need to borrow another $26,500 cash. So it's over $50,000 to be able to get you where you want to play with one contract, like to sell a covered call or whatever. And of course, it's important to have margin authorized in your account first. But there's a way around this. What I would recommend, there's a couple of plays that I like, and I do options on all of these right now today. Palantir is at about $21. Sophie is about $16. Hut 8 is under $5. And here for these, you can do a lot of options with the money and capital you have. You may need to get out of MicroStrategy, but then you can do it here. So for example, the margin requirement to do 100 shares of Palantir is only about $1,000. So that's where I would go first. Play with these companies. They all are bottomed out right now. They all have very bright futures, not investment advice, but that's a great place to play. So thank you, March, for the question. So let's jump in. I think that's question number 3. If a BTC, Bitcoin ETF, comes out later this year, what effect will it have on MicroStrategy share price? Will there be less premium, i.e. less demand? So excellent question. I think about this every day. I've got a very, very large position in MicroStrategy. I've been in it since $200 and change. So basically the way I see it is a couple of things. Short answer is yes. Less people will buy MicroStrategy if there is an ETF available in the US for markets. But it's hard to say exactly what impact that will have. Now, there is about a 30% premium. It could even be 10% depending how you look at it, because MicroStrategy itself does have intrinsic value and they are an equity. They can play financial jujitsu games to raise money and buy Bitcoin. So I still think from that perspective, it's a very good investment. Also, depending on the ETF, some may not have a very mature options market, whereas MicroStrategy does. So you can sell calls, you can buy puts, you can sell puts, you can buy leaps in MicroStrategy and all that type of stuff. And that's what I do regularly with MicroStrategy. I think most recently, I think it's $688. I sold a bunch of calls out of the money and I bought them back when it went to about $523. So I was able to basically make enough money to buy a Model Y from Tesla just in a couple of weeks. So that type of power is, and all these trades are posted live, by the way, on Patreon, in case anybody doesn't believe me. There's a lot of negative people out there. Anyway, a lot of hype right now about ETF. It might happen end of this year, but it may not happen till next year. So in the meantime, stick with MicroStrategy and you'll be the first to know here if there is a change. But I still believe MicroStrategy is a good asset to have, especially when you look at the volatility of it. Sometimes it can be an arbitrage opportunity where you can buy MicroStrategy cheap less than its intrinsic value, basically the value of the entity itself, Microstrategy, and the value of their Bitcoin. So from that perspective, it's a lot easier to arbitrage with something like Microstrategy than you can with an ETF. So great question. Thank you so much. Next question. You've been talking about selling your Apple when it hit 149. What did you decide to do, and what percentage did you sell? This is from Scott B. Yeah, Scott, great question. And again, I publish all my trades. I think I've notified YouTube as well that people out here that I did sell. I sold just right at $150. And the reason I did that was I watched Apple go from 115 to 150 in a short amount of time. And all the TA, all the information, all the valuation, to my knowledge, looked like it got close to topping out. And I believe the odds of other stocks doubling were far higher than that of Apple going to $300, for example. Now, remember, I had the leaps on Apple, $100 strike, but I bought them pre-split. And so my cost basis was very, very low. But I decided as well, because I believe August could be weak, I wanted to move more to cash. And I looked at my holdings. I have Shopify, Square, Tesla, Palantir, etc. I felt the most toppy stock of them all was Apple, and I wanted to raise cash. Now, another way of looking at it too is when I compare Apple to others, this is Apple compared to Tesla, you can see it really has outperformed over the last 3 months. And therefore, for me, it makes sense. I believe, Tesla is going from, say, $600 to $3,000 in the next 4 years. And I believe Apple might double in that time frame, but it's not going to do a 5x. So my numbers. So that's why I got out of Apple. Not saying Apple's a bad company, but I want to be on faster horses for the next period. So big thank you. HorseGal33, what do you think of the SPAC deal between CND and Circle? I noticed Cathie bought a bit. This is a loaded question. Great question. And I love the really hard ones that really make me think. So first of all, when you look at SPACs, Circle and USDC, this is convoluted. Now, first of all, I want you to talk about SPACs. I don't like these special purpose acquisition companies, although they're red hot right now. The shareholders get crucified. So there's 3 things really to worry about when you look at a SPAC. One, they are in it for the founders and the people that orchestrate the deal, not for the shareholders. Second of all, SPACs have shown horrible shareholder returns since 2000 when they began. And number 3, the problem lies in the promotion, which dilutes the shareholders. So they bring all these influencers, etc., to have a part, and that just dilutes the actual value. Now, if you look at the convoluted nature of these deals as well, so you got Circle, merged with Bob Diamond-backed Concord Acquisition Corp, called CND, which you referred to, which was backed by former Barclays boss from Barclays, Bob Diamond. And the combined entity is now a new Irish holding company that will trade on the New York Stock Exchange. So good luck trying to get some transparency out of this kind of hide the little ball under all the cups type of game, whatever that game is called. This is one of the reasons why I don't like them. But let's talk about Cathie for a second. Why did Cathie get in? So Cathie, I think, and I love her dearly. I think she's incredible, but she's desperate to get her hands on any crypto proxies to get exposure to crypto markets. So she'll buy pretty much anything that smells like it's related to crypto. And of course, this Circle is tied to USDC, which has a lot of crypto exposure. So from that perspective, it makes complete sense. I mean, she's getting into Coinbase, and she's been buying it at very high levels, and she's getting into everything else. So that's why she's in the game. And third, just to refer real quick, focusing on Circle, the Circle's success is tied to demand for USDC. There's rumors that they're working with the US government to build a central bank digital currency for the US, but that's years away. We're talking 2024, 2025. And like an IPO, I like to sit back and watch and see what happens and see if there's an opportunity. But with SPACs, as a retail investor, you're not going to make much. So wait and see. So great question, HorseGirl. Thank you so much. Now, next question. Let me see. If Bitcoin replaced the dollar, what would one Bitcoin be worth? From James H. Another James. I love this question. So obviously I had to create a little bit of a model. And this is what I did. So if Bitcoin replaced the US dollar, I created a theoretical future value. And this is based on the empty money supply in the USA. So I think it was as of April, there was 20.37 trillion US dollars in the system. or no, I think that was June. It was up from May, which is 20.1. So you can see that the rate is growing by approximately 1.3% per month. Now I want to step out and make sure everybody got that. US money supply on average this year is growing by over 1.3% per month. Okay, add that up. That's on average, let's conservatively say the money supply is growing by 20% per year, and it's going to grow at 20% per year over the next 10 years. Now, we know it grew by 40% since C19 happened, so I'm taking half of that. And I am also well aware of the macro situation the government's in. They need to keep on printing to keep their heads above water. That's a simple way to look at it. But let's look forward to this model real quick. And again, it's theoretical. I don't want people throwing rocks at me or taking this to the bank. But if you have the money supply growing at this amount of 20% per year, that means there will be $105 trillion in circulation in the year 2030. Now, if the Bitcoin was to replace the US dollar, that would be the value it's replacing. Now, assuming in the year 2030 there would be approximately 20 million coins issued, that would give a theoretical price in the year 2030 of $5.255 million. And I know people are going to say, you are crazy, that's way too high. But no, it's justifiable. But if you look at the real number of coins in circulation, it'll never be more than 14 million by my math. That means you're looking at $7.5 million per coin. Again, keep your rocks to yourself. It's theoretical, but it's also possible. Now, Robert Breedlove says Bitcoin will be worth $12.5 million by the year 2031. That's a year later than this. And I'm saying between 5 and 7.5 million. Theoretically, if it were to replace the M2 money supply. Now, what's really weird about these numbers when I crunch them is I always like to calculate not only the future value in dollar amounts, but calculate the purchasing power of that, assuming that 20% increase in M2 money supply. So if you take the future value of $1 million and you back it up, that'll take you to about 134,000, assuming a 20% inflation rate. I believe inflation is more like 15%, but just assuming 20% for this model, because that's what the money supply growth will be over the next 10 years, most probably. That means the future value taken out of Bitcoin is $7.5 million. With 20% debasement, that takes us back to $1 million of real purchasing power today. I hope I didn't lose anybody in that, but I thought it was incredible that, I created a model a while ago proving that it's highly likely that Bitcoin could be worth $1 million in the year 2030. But this one, with the money supply growth, is a good way of backing into that number. And that $1 million is purchasing power, not actual true value. So you got to remember, when things debase at 10, 15, 20% per year, they become a lot less value. So that's $7.5 million, just to repeat, $7.5 million in 2030 is only worth $1 million in today's purchasing power, like how much milk, eggs, cars, houses you can buy. And just look at the price of real estate and how it's going up this year. It's 25%, at least in many, many cities around. So great question. Thank you so much, James. Next question. If stablecoins are pegged to the US dollar and the US dollar is devaluing at 15% due to money printing, inflation, etc., see the way all the questions are kind of related? It's amazing how everybody is thinking about this stuff. Isn't the stablecoin also going down in value even at 8.88% that Celsius pays? Well, world's better than a bank. Is it still not even keeping up with the devaluation of the US dollar? That's from S. Wood. Love the question. So first of all, you're dead right. And I've been saying this for a while. If you have a stable coin and you think, oh, it's great, my Bank of America is paying me 0% on my $1 million in my savings account, but I can get 8.8% on USDC, which is pegged to the dollar. Isn't that good? Yes, it's better than nothing. But if your currency is pacing at 15% per year and you're getting 8% or 9%, you're still losing 7% per year. So that's the real thing to talk about. Now, stable coins, there are many different flavors and versions. And I just want to touch on this because we're going to, if you guys want to learn more about stable coins and all the different iterations and which ones are best to invest in. And I've also had a lot of requests for analyzing Tether and the risks of that. So it's all kind of related. But please let me know if you're interested with a comment below if you want us to dive deeper into stablecoins. So there are 4 basic categories of stablecoins. It's kind of related but unrelated to this question. One, you've got your dollar peg ones like USDC and Tether, which could blow up. Second, you've got ones like Ampleforth that use supply inflation contraction to peg itself to the price of the dollar on a specific date, which is kind of cool. It's kind of like a future in reverse. The third one is pegged to a basket of cryptos to form a peg to a floating value. I like these the best. And then fourth, you have the DAI that utilize arbitrage to form a soft peg. So they're kind of the different varieties of stablecoins, and they're all changing, and there's so many out there, it's hard to navigate where to go and what to use and what to play with. But if you're interested in a stablecoin analysis and a Tether analysis, we'll do that for you. A lot of people are putting foot out there about Tether, well, if Tether blows up, will it blow up the entire Bitcoin market? So we'll answer that too as well. I do have my theories. So this is another brilliant question. If you were a billionaire, a country, or a group of countries, or generally someone very powerful that is anti-Bitcoin, and you wanted to fail, what actions would you take against Bitcoin? From Glenn. I love this. Basically, I call this, how would I kill Bitcoin? So let me see. One of the things, the series of things, 5 things I'd probably try. 1, I'd ban mining. Well, we saw how that worked in China. It didn't work. They just packed up and left and went somewhere else. 2nd, I'd ban crypto altogether. Well, many countries have tried. The list is long. You've got your Nigerias and you got your Chinas, etc. Again, you can't put this toothpaste back in the tube, as I always say. 3rd, you make on-ramping hard. That should be make instead of mark. Nope. Look at different countries in the UK, in Europe, like the UK, etc., that are trying to do this, but it's still not preventing people from getting their hands on crypto. 4, you spread FUD. You try put the fear of God into everybody so they stay away from it. Yeah, no, that doesn't work either. And then, number 5, you centralize it and then you kill it. Well, the Chinese had the opportunity to kind of maybe nearly try and do that, but no, Bitcoin's a self-regulating mechanism. You can't. So, and again, the most important thing here, and I wrote this out, since Bitcoin is a bearer asset and can be self-custodied, you can just walk across the border with the numbers in your head, your passphrase, and you're good to go. So from that perspective, I don't think it can be killed. And that's one of the things that's so fascinating. It's purely decentralized and it's pristine. And all the game theory attached to it just makes it so powerful. So really good question. Before I open it to live Q&A, I want to introduce you to our new friend, Watson. Winston, sorry, not Watson. No, we have another Watson. So all contributions, obviously, we receive on YouTube goes to fund different animals. And this one is a black bear. Actually, one of our members wrote in saying you have to help. So we did. This poor guy, Winston, was in a breeding compound and illegally kept somebody's pet. And then he was put in a place with other bears and he was attacked on his hip by other bears. He had a bad cut. But now he's in a friendly place and he has another bear friend called Boo Boo. So another happy story. So just want to share that with you all. Now let's open up to Q&A. Big thank you to everybody on Patreon as well, where all these questions come from. And let's keep the good questions coming because we really appreciate them. So let me just switch camera, pop up the actual chat, and see what's happening in the world. Any cool questions on a Sunday? And if you guys are save the bears from Naughty Jackal, yeah. Good job, James. So let me see if any other cool questions. From KO, would you trim some of your Tesla holdings before earnings tomorrow? No, I believe earnings will be very strong. I think they could, I don't know. I was looking at some of the numbers on a spreadsheet there yesterday, but I think they're going to impress. They had a lot of logistic problems last quarter and they overcame and still did incredibly well. So we'll see. I remain very bullish. And, Bitcoin and Tesla and Google and Shopify and Square, they're kind of my long-term, really hard holdings. What I do, though, is if I see, say, Tesla shoot up to $850, $900, I might sell now the money call against it, just like I would with anything else, like MicroStrategy or whatever. So it doesn't change the fact that I'm bullish, but I would not trim any of my Tesla holdings. In fact, I will add, and what I always do as well, and kind of an answer to that question, KO, is I look at the alternatives out there. What else is better to invest in that has more upside? And, $550, $600 to 3,000. And that's my conservative number. It could easily go to 4,500 in 2015. So, Orsola, hey from Hungary. I love your show. Hungary. I've been there many times, spent a lot of time there. And I used to watch the Formula 1 races there. So nice to have somebody from Hungary. And I know there's a race coming up next weekend. From Pete D. James, thanks for your dedication. Please analyze Quant. Should I buy when you can? We will. That's on the list. That's in the next 3. We're coming out with Engine tomorrow. And then we're going to do some more stock work too. So, and Misa, thank you. Yay for Winston. Thanks, Pete. Quant is definitely on the list. It's up there as well with Harmony One and Elrond. They're the big 3. So again, as I always say, the squeaky wheels get the oil. So Elrond, Harmony One, Quant. A lot of people are saying Nano as well. Let us know, because the more interest, that bubbles up our priorities internally. From SI or C, James, where do you see Bitcoin in a month? Well, it's Bitcoin is showing incredible resistance now, and I've been watching this for a few days. Any tiny dip is met with a purchase. I watch the kind of money flows, the buying action when it dips, so it's under crazy accumulation right now. It's still, the manipulators are still trying to keep a lid on it, but a month from now, we're back above 40,000, I think, barring any stock market crash in August. So if there's a big stock market crash or a whole bunch of fear with things like C19, that could have an impact on Bitcoin. But right now I see it going straight back to 40,000 in the next month. So, and that's just based on the money, the adoption, the big investors coming in. Everybody wants a piece. So big congratulations as well to all the retail investors who weren't shaken out and are staying strong and accumulating, because it's a lot easier to become a whole coiner when Bitcoin's at 30,000 than when it's at 65,000. So always, it's less than half the price. It's good. Mike Shipton, thank you so much for your contribution. Gordon Fox and Winston's very grateful. And all of our other animals are beginning to build a nice little stable here. Gordon Fox, would you sell Bitcoin ETH at the next top into a bear market and then buy back in, or just continue to hold it forever? Again, it's hard to say. What I would do is, rather than ever sell Bitcoin, because my cost basis for Bitcoin and Ethereum is very low, I would be incurring a lot of taxes. Depending on my tax situation at the time and how high they run and where I see them going, if it is a completely crazy blow off top, I definitely would unload some Ethereum, and we'll see. But it all depends. If the DeFi revolution takes hold, like I think it will, I believe in keeping Ethereum for as long as they remain the leader. So it's hard to say. But other altcoins that I have, definitely I'll be selling them all the way up. And I've got some exit models as well built for some of them, and I'll be sharing them as well shortly. So, Cell token from Shelly. Yeah, we're going to look at things like the Cell tokens and FTX tokens and all those other tokens, because they confuse the heck out of people. And we have a framework built where we're going to kind of score them against each other. So thank you so much for that question. YK824. Are proxies susceptible to the same amount of market downturn as all other equities despite being pegged to Bitcoin crypto? Yes, they are. It depends. That's kind of an interesting question, because right now we've seen equities make all-time highs, and we've seen Bitcoin 50% off, which means all of a sudden there's no correlation between both. They used to follow each other kind of hand in hand. That's broken down now. And I do think there'll come a time, I just don't know when, it could be in the next 2 or 3 months, or it could be in the next 3 or 5 years, where everybody will realize, okay, the safest haven or port for safety during a stormy stock market is things like Bitcoin. It'll be like the new gold, or be like buying a GE or a dividend paying stock or utility stock. I think that's going to happen. So we're not there yet. If the stock market does tank, it'll drag with it the MicroStrategies and all the other proxies. Like we saw Galaxy Digital get completely hammered over the last couple of weeks, completely oversold. You can expect that to continue, but they'll also bounce back faster. But I do see the break now, and I see people beginning to think, especially people that have investments in what was traditionally a very safe haven like the bond market, they're going to begin to start, they're looking at their negative yielding bonds with 15% inflation. They're going to say, what am I doing? I need to move that $21 trillion into something safer. And the negative yield bond market is 30 times the market cap of Bitcoin. So there's a lot of money that has to flow. Great question. Jay Clark. Can you make some Leaps tutorial videos, please? I can, and I have, but I can make more. a lot of demand for them and how I play. So, Jay Clark, I will do that. Because sometimes, though, my options videos, they're not, like, people much prefer crypto news than learning how to trade options. But for the hardcore that know where the real money is made, they'll be focusing on those. So I'll definitely do more. Greco27X. Hello, James. How do I best take profits if Bitcoin goes to 100K and wait for dips? Get stablecoin USDT or USDC? First of all, nobody should touch USDT. It's far too dangerous. Put your money into USDC first, just to make sure. You're already seeing big migrations of money from USDT into USDC. Second of all, the best thing to do is really understand what your cost basis is, your tax situation is, and then if you want to take some profits, take some out. But there's a couple of things going to happen in this market. One, it's very different to previous markets because of the type of money that's in there. You got huge institutions that own now, I don't know what it is, nearly 10, 11% of all Bitcoin. You have high net worth individuals and family offices, and all these others are coming into the space, and they're not going to be selling. So the selling pressure will be nowhere near what it was before. So I don't see the market having the same retracements as before. I also see a huge lengthening of this bull market. So it could go into the middle of next year, when, if you asked me 6 months ago, I thought it would be over by November 2021. Now it's going to go much longer. So we'll see what happens. Thomas Benetti, thank you so much. Jack Catarino, message retracted. Uh-oh. Sorry about that. Hopefully I can get it later. And Ryan, thank you so much. T. Davis, any ideas on which coins Amazon will use for payments? I'm not sure, but I think they would have to find the most stable ones, starting with Bitcoin. I don't see Ethereum as a very good payment mechanism or store of value, despite the fact that JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs thinks it is. I'm not convinced yet. And maybe a couple of stable coins. I think that will be where they will go. And that was great news regarding Amazon. It's good to see them making the move, because now, Google has to make the move and Apple have to make the move. So it's going to cause that same domino effect. And one of them is going to fall in the year 2021. And then it's going to be, Bitcoin straight to $70,000 once that happens. So that's exciting. James, are you what's considered a metrosexual? No, I'm just simple. I just buy 5 of the same shirts, and when I make a video, just wear the same thing. It takes all the thought out of it. Wes, thoughts on why Cathie Wood thinks there is deflation instead of inflation? Oh, I love this question. Yeah, so I've been debating with people about this for the last 4 or 5 months. Her thesis around deflation is the fact that disruptive companies will kill other companies, and that will reduce demand, which will reduce pricing pressure. I don't see deflation or stagflation happening for quite some time. We're still in a hyperinflationary environment, and we will be for a long time. Remember, as the money printing is printing, and there's cash slushing around in the systems, and there's logistic problems with C19, prices just go up. That's all I see. I don't see inflation going down for a long, long time. What she's talking about, though, is you have to parse out exactly what deflation is made up of. So if you're talking about bread, milk, eggs, orange juice, blueberries, apples, they're going like that. They're never going to come back down again. But what she's saying is, well, you'd be able to get maybe a Tesla Model Y for $45,000 instead of $50,000. The price will come down because their manufacturing is improving and their cost of computers, etc., is going down, and software and that type of stuff. So from that perspective, she sees that. Same thing with plasma TVs, like technology devices, phones, computers, all coming down. And that's part of the deflation as well that she's talking about. But her and I are not on the same page in that regard. She might be right in 3 years when, the whole global economy goes to hell, because, you can't just keep printing money willy-nilly like they're doing right now. So we'll see what happens. But I don't see a deflationary environment for quite some time. So we'll see. AMP is pumping. AMP is not one we've actually looked at yet. So big thank you. Angie Williams. No question today, just a note to Winston. Oh, you're so kind. Thank you, everybody. That's super helpful, because that means we can support them for a lot longer. So Abdullah, hey James, I love your show because of you. I invest in Bitcoin. Is SafeMoon a good investment? Oh, please do a video. Abdullah, please be careful of the scam coins. SafeMoon is a scam. Anything you see that's pushed and shilled hard by anybody, it's a scam. Do not touch SafeMoon. And everybody, especially over the last couple of weeks, we've seen a lot of things happen. We've seen Rune being hacked, Thorchain being hacked twice, and a lot of other terrible things, BSV being hacked. And it's made me even more conservative. I was ultra conservative and risk, averse to begin with. But with all the stuff that's happened over the last 2 weeks, that's next level. So now I just stick with the super safe dedicated plays that starts with Bitcoin, then Ethereum, and then some of the top 10 names, or the ones that will soon be in the top 10 based on their use cases. Look at the backers, look at the tokenomics, and just be very careful. Literally, I used to say 95% of altcoins were scams. About a month ago, I changed that to 99%. Now I'm probably about 99.5% because I've seen a lot of the underbelly of how bad this Wild West is, and it's full of scams. So just be very careful, everybody. If you don't take the time to study what's behind these cryptos, invest in the stock market. Stay the hell away from the crypto market because you're just going to get absolutely toasted. So everybody be careful there. Mark Mene, I'm a bit concerned with the SEC regulation on DeFi such as Uni. I own a good bag of Aave and I'm really scared. It's not decentralized. Thoughts, please. Yeah, exactly. That's part of my concern too. I own Uni, Aave as well, and some of the stuff that's coming down is concerning. Now, you got to break it down to exactly what it is. Yes, it's sort of centralized from a management team, but the software is designed to be decentralized in nature, so it's in that kind of gray area. It's not. There's only one truly decentralized asset, in my opinion, and that is Bitcoin. The rest are all kind of imitations. I'm still bullish, but I'm beginning to rethink a couple of positions. I haven't sold anything. I haven't sold any Uniswap or Aave, but still very bullish on the whole DeFi space. It's coming. It's going to happen. But with anything that's new, and there'll always be growing pains, and there'll always be casualties along the way. So that's just the nature of the game. You need to make sure you're not going to be stuck with one of those casualties, or size your portfolio appropriately so you don't have a 5% of your bag being Uniswap. Maybe 1% or 2%. So if it does blow up, you'll make it up on something else. So that's really the key lesson, I think, for everybody today. Be very careful with your asset allocation. Don't have all your eggs in one basket. And the higher the risk, the lower the percentage you should have. Because the higher the return, but it can also result in going to zero. CB, what does crypto have if the grid goes down? How can crypto be accessed in a situation? Yeah, well, if the grid goes down, that's a problem, but it doesn't kill it. So things like EMPs and electricity or the internet going down won't kill things like Bitcoin. It'll come right back up the way it was once the power comes back or the internet comes back. So not too concerned about that at all. But I would be more concerned about some of the centralized players. So that's one of the things. And again, the beauty of Bitcoin is its public ledger. So it's very easy to replicate out of the gate. Let me see. 32 ETH. I don't know what that question's about. Altcoin Daily just posted a vid. Can you review live? I don't know. I need to check it out. But I don't know the Altcoin Daily video. Panoigatis Kalamitis. Sounds like somebody from Greece. Yes. You're doing an amazing job. My question is, do you think Bitcoin or Ethereum could be used as collateral? They can both be used as collateral today, but the better collateral will be the most pristine asset that will have the least amount of volatility, and that will be the most pristine store of value, Bitcoin. So in the future, 5 years from now, 8 years from now, I intend to borrow a lot against Bitcoin to be able to buy other assets. That's the plan, and even by which to live. So Terry Buckney, thoughts on XRP versus the SEC? It's just a long-standing battle, and anytime you see that type of scrutiny or regulation, I mean, regulators have ears to the ground. They get information from 1,000 different sources every single day. So when they are investigating something like USDT Tether or going after XRP. I mean, if you just look at the structure of XRP and the games that they played and the tokenomics, it just has badness written all over it. So sorry, XRP Army, it's just bad. Even if you look at Stellar XLM, it's the same team from XRP, same tokenomics. It's the same. It's just different name. So, and again, just do your homework. Be very, very careful what's out there. Algorand. I'm a big investor in Algorand, rumored to be working with Amazon. There's a lot of, I didn't know about AMP, but I heard something about Algorand. But typically, when Amazon starts working with players, they'll talk to everybody. So you just don't know who it's going to be till the very end. So, let me see. Missed Super Chat, Thomas Ufinity. Let me see. How do I even find that? Let me see. Scroll up and find Thomas. Thank you for that, Mike, and thank you for being here. Mike keeps us all safe, keeps the spammers out. Oh, there he is. Thomas Ufinity. Security question. What's the best balance to keep your holdings? How much percentage in hardware wallet, software wallet, paper wallet, exchange, interest, BlockFi, etc.? So this is a really good question. I personally, you need to have multiple exchanges. I have 8, but I have them for different reasons, and I have different amounts on ones. I have probably the most that I have the most on are the most secure. I've got them tied down with things like YubiKeys and all that type of stuff. So you can do that with exchanges like Coinbase and FTX, super safe. In terms of wallets, it's good to have a few, but not too many, because then you're going to lose track. But also have very strict instructions. I don't use software wallets other than to transfer stuff, and I use MetaMask for that. Hardware wallet, I use Trezor. I've got a couple of those. Paper wallets I was big on at the beginning, but now hardware wallets are a little bit easier. Now, in terms of exchanges, I used to say no more than $500,000 per exchange. Now I've ratcheted it down to like $100,000 because of all of the hacks. Now I've been on the receiving end of a lot of people that have been wiped out. People have lost all their holdings on things like Coinbase and FTX and Binance. So be careful with the exchanges. Not that the exchanges are not secure, but hackers found ways of pretending they are you, SIM swap attacks, etc. So be careful on that. And also lock down your exchanges in terms of how much can be withdrawn per day, white label addresses, all that type of stuff. It's not hard to do. Check out, I've got a 20-point security video that should check out BlockFi. I just wouldn't trust point blank. And in terms of lending my crypto, I wouldn't put more than, say, 10% in one place, like Celsius. And there's no point in lending more than, say, 1 Bitcoin, because your returns go down. You can make a big higher return. In fact, when we started, I think this video, the Bitcoin has actually gone up a little bit. It's up $304. That's good news, I think. So, Thomas, thank you for your question. It's a loaded one. We're going to do an updated how to store your crypto video, because everything changes and there's so many new options right now, and there's multi-sig capabilities, and it's complex. But the best thing to do is just really lock down your security first and have multiple wallets. Again, the second time I said this today, don't keep all your eggs in one basket. Very important. Thank you, Mike, for that, making sure I caught it. And I think that's it. Let me see. I'll do... Cheryl, you were so kind. JRAM. Hey, James, I own 4 Bitcoin and 45 ETH, but no equities. You think I should sell some and get into some stocks? Bitcoin average coin 25K. Good job. Be very, very careful as well, JRAM. Thank you for that. But be careful with your identity now and the stuff you share online, because you might become a target. So make sure people can't tie JRAM back to who you really are. And if they can, just make sure you lock everything up very securely. Right now, with the stock market at all-time highs and crypto down 50%, I wouldn't move into equities right now. But I think if Ethereum goes to $8,000, it's always nice to have, I have this number in my head, it's nice to have 32 ETH, because that's going to be worth $1 million in the year 2030. So it's nice to have like 32 ETH there as one stack. And then you got a truckload of Bitcoin. You have a lot more Bitcoin concentration than Ethereum concentration. So, but it's so tempting to say, maybe if Bitcoin goes to $200,000 this cycle, maybe offload one if the stock market crashes and Tesla's like $500. then I'd just switch out some. That would be good. But in the meantime, just be very careful, keep it secure. You have a nice set of bags, as they say. And Cheryl, thank you so much. And this will be, let me see the last question. Scientific Best. What do you think about investing in the carbon credit market? Carbon. I looked at that. I don't think it's a good play. It's just too much layers, too many middlemen, too many shares. I can't see a quick way of making money. I'd much rather be laser focused on just getting something simple like a leap option on Tesla, for example, or Palantir going out a year and a half. That's much safer than playing the carbon market. And it's also, when markets are very immature, they're not stable, and it's hard to really make sense of them. So that goes for anything. So I wouldn't touch the carbon market. I've been asked to look at it a few times. I did have a look, and I didn't see anything there that I liked. It's like, for example, playing with commodities. I used to trade commodities back in the day, and I wouldn't touch them ever again because there's so many factors that are out of your control. Let me see. Let's see if there's any last question I'll take. Exciting world cryptos. Do you recommend doing tokenized stocks with FTX versus doing a full regular stocks? Pros and cons. The problem with the tokenized stocks, I would be very, very careful investing in them right now because regulators want to regulate any stock market exchange activity. Now, if you look at what Binance did, they were the first to come to market with tokenized stocks, and they just shut everything down because the regulators were breathing down their necks all over the world at the same time. I know it's not possible to do tokenized stocks in the US, so you must be outside the US, but I wouldn't do it. Just go with the traditional exchange and play them there. Again, just like I said before in the previous question, like carbon, when a market is not mature, it's risky. So wait for things to stabilize. It's like borrowing against your crypto. I'm going to wait for it to stabilize. I'm going to give it another 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and then see what happens then as well. So, quick question there. I saw something pop in. Your favorite vegan cake dessert? Oh, that's a tough one. I've tried some vegan cakes and they all taste kind of terrible. But I did have a vegan cookie once and it was incredible. But some bakery, and I think it was a Danish bakery. It was amazing. But it's a funny question. Sanjay, Sylvester, thank you so much as well. Sanjay, you're awesome. Appreciate that. Yeah, be careful. I saw one question. My thoughts on VeChain. I think. Oh, let me see. Out today. James, will your Patreon professional be available soon? That's the $5 tier. It seems sold out. We are trying to cap our Patreon right now. It's getting too big too fast, and less is more. I don't do it for the money. So it was just growing way too fast. So we're trying to keep a limit on the amount of membership there. So that's the reason for that. I don't know. Somebody else is in control of that. I don't do it, but we're trying to keep the community small and very community-like, where everybody kind of helps each other. But we're trying not to grow too big because the community with over 10,000 people, I just can't manage myself, and I can't give the same attention that I need to with everybody. Thoughts on VeChain? I think there are better places to invest. So that's my take. And Tina, you are so kind. Keep it up. Everybody, this is amazing. Could have sponsored maybe a couple of beers from all this. So, okay, this one is interesting. KO again. You've got good questions. Any thoughts on Baba or Baidu leaps at the current levels? I actually bought one Baba leap. It's the $180 leap for $40 and change a few weeks ago. The price was about $201, and I own Baidu. I have, I think they're $100 strike leaps on Baidu. They're not expired, but they cost me very little, so I got them back in March 2020. So I'm waiting. I'm not completely scared off by all of the fear, uncertainty, and doubt regarding Chinese stocks. I think they'll figure something out. I think with what the countries, the geopolitical games that are being played by Biden and Xi are just games at this level. I think they know they need to find a way to work together, and they can't build another Cold War. Although there's some grumblings of that with the CBDCs and everything else, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, I heard the USDC audit results are okay, but again, I heard as well that the US Tether audit results were done by some little accounting firm in Barbados, which is like, it's not like, why didn't they just get like KPMG or PricewaterhouseCoopers or Deloitte to audit the books instead of some little firm that nobody ever heard of? That for me is a red flag. So back to your question, though, thoughts on Baba. I think Baidu, I think Baba is a safer play, although I own Baidu. Baidu under 170 is good. Baba 190 to 200 is good as well. Those kind of my thumbs. So big thank you, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well, and happy Sunday. And I'll see you all tomorrow with Engine Coin. See if that's worth it. And I hope the markets are good tonight. Happy Sunday, everybody. See you soon.